Russia always takes a responsible position on nuclear issues, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Monday after U.S. President Donald Trump said Friday he was ordering the repositioning of 2 U.S. nuclear submarines. According to Associated Press, Trump's order followed comments by the country's former president, Dmitry Medvedev, who has raised the prospect of war online. It wasn't clear what impact Trump's order would have on U.S. nuclear subs, which are routinely on patrol in the world's hotspots, but it comes at a delicate moment in the Trump administration's relations with Moscow. "We wouldn't like to be drawn into polemic and comment on that," Peskov told reporters on Monday. "We are very careful about any statements on nuclear issues. You know that Russia takes a responsible position. President Putin's position is well known. We believe that all must be very accurate with nuclear rhetoric," Peskov said. He noted that U.S. nuclear submarines are on regular combat duty anyway. Asked if the Kremlin could advise Medvedev to temper his rhetoric, Peskov emphasized that it's Putin who sets the country's foreign policy, adding that in every country, leadership members may have different views of current developments. Asked if Putin would meet Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff, who is set to visit Moscow this week, Peskov responded that, "We don't exclude such a meeting. We are always glad to see Mr. Witkoff in Moscow, we are always glad to have contacts with Mr. Witkoff," he said. "We consider them important, substantive, and very useful." Peskov added that dialogue was continuing, and that the U.S. is continuing its mediation efforts to help the settlement of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. "These efforts are very important in the context of the ongoing direct Russian-Ukrainian negotiations," he said. "The settlement of the Ukrainian problem by political and diplomatic means is naturally preferable for us."
В данном случае очевидно, что американские подводные лодки и так находятся на боевом дежурстве. Это постоянный процесс. В целом, конечно, вот в такую полемику не хотелось бы никак втягиваться, и не хотелось бы это никак комментировать. Мы очень аккуратно относимся к любым заявлениям, связанным с ядерной проблематикой. Вы знаете, что Россия занимает ответственную позицию. Позиция президента Путина прекрасно известна. Конечно, мы считаем, что все должны быть весьма и весьма аккуратны с ядерной риторикой. В каждой стране члены руководства страны имеют разные точки зрения, рабочие, на происходящее событие, и имеют разный настрой. Главное, конечно, это позиция президента Путина. Вы знаете, что в нашей стране внешнюю политику формулирует глава государства, то есть президент Путин. Мы всегда рады видеть господина Виткофа в Москве и всегда рады контактам с господином Виткофом. Мы не исключаем возможность проведения такой встречи. Продолжается диалог. Соединенные Штаты продолжают свои усилия по посредничеству в поисках пути украинского урегулирования. Эти усилия очень важны, в том числе и в контексте идущего процесса прямых российско-украинских переговоров. Мы сохраняем нашу приверженность идее о том, что предпочтительным для нас, разумеется, является урегулирование украинской проблемы политикой и дипломатическими средствами.
Baku and Moscow have found themselves at the center of a new diplomatic conflict. The reason was the demolition of a monument to the artist Ivan Aivazovsky in the city of Khankendi of Azerbaijan. This city is formerly the capital of the unrecognized Armenian separatist regime in Karabakh. Moscow's reaction to this decision caused a real resonance in Baku. Russian propagandists, criticizing the dismantling of the monument, called the city by its old occupation name, Stepanakert. Azerbaijani media and government agencies issued a harsh response. The Azerbaijani Foreign Ministry has called on Russia's state-run TASS news agency to apologize for using an outdated name that was used during the existence of the illegal NKR. If the Russian side does not stop distorting Azerbaijani toponymy, then Baku, guided by the principle of reciprocity, can also call various toponyms on the territory of Russia by their historical names, Baku noted. The popular publication Minval has already put this threat into practice. In its publications, it calls the Russian Kaliningrad Königsberg, recalling that the city should belong to Germany. Also, Azerbaijani media are planning to write Orenburg instead of Orenburg, Sarisu instead of Volgograd, and called Grozny Solzagala. The full list was also published by the country's largest agency, Azatak. TASS initially edited the article, removing the mention of Stepanakert, but later restored the name. Tensions between the two countries have been escalating for months, ever since Russian forces shot down an Azerbaijani civilian plane over Chechnya. Russian dictator Vladimir Putin has neither taken responsibility for the crime nor apologized to Baku. Instead of apologies, there was repression. Mass raids on members of the Azerbaijani diaspora began in Russia. Dozens of people were detained. There are reports of torture, cruel treatment, and the death of at least 2 Azerbaijani citizens as a result of violence by Russian security forces. Thus, the diplomatic tension between Baku and Moscow has gone beyond words and official statements. It has grown into a sharp informational and humanitarian confrontation. And apparently, Azerbaijan intends to defend its positions harshly. In the Kharkiv region, the Ukrainian armed forces are doing everything to stop the occupiers and inflict as many losses on them as possible. On July the 30th, the hunt was successful for the 429th Separate Regiment of Unmanned Systems, Achilles. They managed to hit 5 units of enemy equipment. The Telegram channel of Regiment Commander Yuri Fedorenko shows how FPV drones destroyed a Russian tank and an infantry fighting vehicle. As a result of attacks by UAV operators, 2 infantry fighting vehicles and AFVs were disabled. On August the 1st, Fedorenko published a report, according to which in July, the 429th OP BPS was able to destroy and damage 4,513 units of enemy equipment, eliminate 206 occupiers, and another 249 were wounded. Achilles conducted combat operations in the area of Volchansk, Melovy, Dvorechnaya, and Kupiansk. Fedorenko added that in July, the number of targets hit increased by 862 compared to the previous period. Let us recall that it was in the Kharkov region on July the 26th that the commander of the 83rd Motorized Rifle Regiment of the 69th Motorized Rifle Division of Russia, Colonel Mikhail Lebedev, was liquidated. On July the 30th, information about the destruction of Putin's officer was officially confirmed on July the 30th. It turned out that in January 2025, Mikhail's father, also an officer in the Russian army, Viktor Lebedev, became the 200th on the front in Ukraine. Olga Drobaysheva, a deputy of the Kostroma Regional Duma, said that the colonel who led the offensive of Russian troops in the Veliko-Buluk direction had been transferred to the rank of 200th. In the Russian swamps, they are actively sculpting a hero out of Lebedev and have already dug a hole on the Alley of Heroes, which will last until the next flood, which is common for both Moscow and St. Petersburg. Earlier, on November the 30th, 2024, Ukrainian defenders eliminated Alexander Lebedev, who held the post of Deputy Commander of the 9th Motorized Rifle Brigade of the 51st Army of the Russian Armed Forces.